Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Brian Sampson from Dunking with Wolves, coming at you with another edition of Brian's Breakdown. Today, I'm going to take a look at the Minnesota Timberwolves pick and roll offense against the San Antonio Spurs last night because they completely shredded the Spurs defense using this action time and time again. Minnesota did a pretty nice job of mixing up the looks in order to try to disguise the action that they were about to run. So, I'm going to break down exactly what goes into a good pick and roll because there are a lot of aspects that many fans just don't consider, such as the angle of the screen, the action before the pick and roll, and the spacing. Before I jump into that, I'd appreciate if you guys would subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this video the old thumbs up, and follow me on Twitter at Brian Sampson NBA. Well, without further ado, let's dive in. The first play to highlight is the first play of the game, and it's generally called Fist 52. Even though this set doesn't result in a bucket for the Wolves, it draws a foul and sets the stage for the rest of the game. The setup is beautiful. Jeff Teague receives a pass at the wing, and Jimmy Butler sets a cross screen on Taj Gibson's man. Karl Anthony Towns then sets a down screen onto Butler's man, and Butler goes to set the first ball screen, with Towns following closely behind. That first action has nothing to do with what Minnesota is actually running. It's simply a design to disguise their true intentions. As Butler and Towns are going to set the double ball screen, Gibson is clearing out to the weak side of the floor to give the play the spacing it needs to work. Butler purposefully doesn't set much of a screen and then quickly slips very wide to the corner. This allows Towns to then set a nice solid screen on Patty Mills and roll right down the lane afterward. Danny Green has to help because his man set a screen, and that leaves Butler wide open in the corner if Teague wanted to throw a skip pass. Aldridge then has to help as well because Towns is setting another screen. Right there, Teague could have dropped a pocket pass, but decides to throw a lob over the top since the Spurs switch and he has a smaller Danny Green on him. This is just a gorgeous play design by Tom Thibodeau and the Minnesota Timberwolves. A few minutes later, the Timberwolves come back to the same play and have similar results. A foul on Towns, but this time he goes to the free throw line. This setup is just a little bit different this time as Butler simply receives a down screen from Towns before setting the initial ball screen on Teague's man. Just like last time, however, Towns follows closely behind and then sets that second ball screen. The key to this play is to get to the middle of the floor off those ball screens. It completely disrupts the defense when you can get to the middle like this, as there are so many options for a player. This time, after Butler sets a screen, he doesn't cut nearly as wide as last, but still gets some depth on his roll, and that's key. That allows Towns to then come barreling down the lane, but on a different level than Butler. Even though Towns misses the initial layup, he gets his own offensive rebound and tries to put it back up before getting fouled. This next type of pick and roll to highlight is generally called a spread pick and roll. The design is obvious as it calls for 3 players to space the floor and allow the ball handler and screener to go to work. The Timberwolves successfully ran this set on 4 consecutive plays last night with Tyus Jones and Karl Anthony Towns. I'm sure Greg Popovich was not happy. The key to this play is in the name, spread. You can see the players spaced out on the floor, allowing the 2 guys to go to work. You might be wondering why Boz is in the short corner here, but it's a smart play by him. When you aren't an efficient 3-point shooter, you need to find a spot on the floor that makes you a threat. Boz may make the spacing a little tighter here, but if he catches it in that short corner, he's a much more dangerous scorer than outside on the 3-point line. Alright, let's take a closer look at one of these pick and rolls where Tyus Jones ends up hitting a nice jumper. It starts out with Towns setting initial ball screen. He doesn't get very much of Patty Mills, and both him and Tyus Jones realize that, so he comes back to set another screen. This allows him to get a better screen on Patty Mills, so when Tyus Jones attacks, notice where the 2 Spurs defenders are. They're sinking right in the lane, basically daring Tyus Jones to shoot or to pass it out to Shabazz Muhammad to shoot. This drop coverage is what it's called on the defensive side of the ball. It's something that the Spurs employed throughout the whole game. And basically they were daring Tyus Jones to shoot, which I love the confidence on this shot as he just comes off and he pulls the trigger and drains the basket. That's absolutely huge. Well, there you have it. And as you can see, the pick and roll was vital to Minnesota's success last night. They did a good job of mixing and matching the pairings between guys like Tyus Jones and Karl Anthony Towns, Jeff Teague and Karl Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins. They have all these guys who can run the pick and roll in different forms. And so it isn't as predictable for the defense to know what's coming when you're mixing and matching the pairings like that. Later in the week, I'm going to break down some more of the pick and roll action and take a look at specific sets that Minnesota has ran throughout the season, so stay tuned to that. In the meantime, I appreciate if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this video the old thumbs up, and follow me on Twitter at Brian Sampson NBA. I hope to see you guys next time.